Ten,
Stand by to take studio.
8, 7, 6,
Stand by camera 1, mics 1 and 2.
3, 2, 1.
Take studio.
Ten,
Stand by
9,
to take studio.
8, 7, 6,
Stand by camera 1, mics 1 and 2.
3, 2, 1.
Take studio.
Happy New Year, MCHS. Welcome to another episode of MCTV News. I'm your host, Skylar Boissonnault.
And I'm AM Dowhan. On today's culinary special, Davina, Bolen, and Liam Weeks kick off the 4-part Sizzling with the Sisterhood and Liam cooking series with a very cool appetizer and soup. Eric Melnychuk brings us along for a perfect dinner with his family. Aaron Thibault shows us the recent MCHS Christmas dinner, and Anna Lesburg shows us a recipe for some yummy French macaroons. Plus, we have a very famous local chef stopping by our studio today for a sit-down with our chat, Skylar. But here's our top story.
Conflicts can be found all around us. The Edmonton Garrison offers a unique program to help resolve them peacefully. At the Conflict and Complaint Management Center, people can go to find solutions to either professional or domestic discourse. Reporter Davina Bolen was there and files this report.
Everyone encounters conflict in their lives, but most people have a hard time finding a solution. The Conflict and Complaint Management Center on the Edmonton Garrison allows people from the Sturgeon County community to come out and find solutions to their conflicts that otherwise weren't available.
We are an organization that has all of the abilities to refer people to other different types of services. So if you come in to see us, not only do we help you with harassment and grievances, but we can also help you with the Canadian Forces Military Assistance Program, the Employee Assistance Program, the Padres Fund. Also, if you're under financial problems, we can help you go through SISUP.
We help them do it at a low level so that they can sort through their own issues themselves rather than having someone else make decisions for them.
While a center like this can be helpful, many do not understand what the employees do to achieve peaceful solutions.
I'm a senior mediator, conflict management practitioner. I facilitate conversations. So when people have an issue and they want to work it out themselves, I sit down and help them have their conversation.
I'm a conflict complaint management service agent, which means I do all the rights-based conflict or complaints for the Canadian Armed Forces and D&D employees.
Sometimes conflicts just need a simple solution, and the employees have many tips up their sleeves.
Don't make assumptions.
Causes of conflict.
Don't think that you know what's going on in somebody else's mind. Just don't jump to an answer. Ask questions and ask why when you don't know.
The best way to stop conflict from escalating is through education. All organizations should have a harassment-free environment. To accomplish that, they should have the ability to teach everybody what is acceptable, what is not acceptable in the workplace.
Knowing that conflict is something you can't just get rid of, having a center like this is a really great thing. For MCTV News, Davina Bolen reporting.
Welcome back. Thus far, we've had a pretty mellow winter when it comes to the snow, but Old Man Winter has finally made his appearance. Here to show us the details of recent cold snap is our very own MCTV meteorologist, Evan Charrois.
Thank you, Ayo. So let's take a look at our forecast. So let's take a look at our western provinces, first of all. We have minus 28 in Iqaluit, minus 40 in Yellowknife. Geez, that's cold. Make sure to bundle up. Minus 25 in Whitehorse, minus 1 in Vancouver, not too bad. Regina, minus 17, medium. Winnipeg, minus 12, still cold, but not as bad as some of the other places. And then let's take a look at some of our eastern provinces. So down here we have Toronto with a negative 7, Montreal with negative 15, Halifax minus 5, and St. John, the only place that isn't in the negative, at a 0. Let's take a look at our provincial forecast. So in the lower areas, we have a little bit of colder, well, geez. Let's start off with high level. We have minus 28 and minus 28 in Fort McMurray as well. A little bit warmer in Grand Prairie at a 24, a minus 20 in Edmonton, a minus 23 in Jasper, Red Deer at 21, Calgary 16, 16 Medicine Hat, and 21 in Banff. Let's take a look at our current conditions. We have minus 20 in Morinville right now. Wind conditions, relative humidity, 81%. Our wind is coming from the northwest at 10 kilometers an hour. Sunrise is 8:49 and sunset is 4:34. Let's head over to our 7-day forecast. We have pretty cold throughout the entire week. We have Friday is a minus 17, Saturday minus 20, Sunday minus 27, Monday minus 29, Tuesday minus 30, minus 30 for a high, minus 29 for Wednesday, and minus 28 for Thursday. It's even colder in some of the lows, but I'm just going to head it back to Aom in the studio.
Now, who out there likes food? I know I do. In studio, we have our very own little chefs eager to show you how to make a full course meal. In the first installment of Sizzling with the Sisterhood and Liam, Davina Bolen shows us how to make a delicious appetizer to start off your meal. Let's have a look.
Welcome to Sizzling with the Sisterhood and Liam. I'm Thibault Bolen, and today I'm making an appetizer. It is bacon crab mushroom caps. What we need is Crod Classic, some bacon, mushrooms, Miracle Whip instead of mayonnaise because no one likes mayonnaise, Italian parsley, and frying pan, spatula, and a pan, which I won't be looking for right now. Now we are going to add 6 slices of bacon. To mix the crab and the Miracle Whip and the bacon together to make that mixture so that goes in the mushroom caps. Going to stuff the mushrooms. Now we are going to put the mushroom caps in the oven and wait 8 minutes.
So, I'm looking at the mushroom cap so far. Crab looks well cooked. Bacon cooks enough. Maybe a little bit more than it should be, but then looking at it, it's not too greasy, which meat is usually good. And the mushroom looks well done. We'll try it now. Alright, so let's taste this to see what it tastes like. So, I will say, overall, it's a well executed mushroom cap. Mushroom's a little bit overpowering, but other than that, everything was well cooked.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, watching how to make all these lovely meals. We will see you guys next time. Bye!
Here are your school announcements for Thursday, January 9th. Boston Pizza is looking for motivated and energetic people to work at the new location in Morinville. If you're looking for an employment opportunity, the hiring fair will be concluding tonight from 4 o'clock to 8 p.m. in the Morinville Community Cultural Center. Are you looking for new studying tips and ways to reduce stress going into exams? Attend Test Your Best at lunches in iLearn. Sessions will continue until the January 20th, the last day of classes before exams. The last day to make course changes for the second semester is Wednesday, January 15th. You can pick up your course change form from the front office and be sure to return it ASAP. Info Week for high school students will be held at the U of A on January 28th to the 30th from 5 to 8 p.m. This is for any grade 10 and 11 students as well. The Green and Gold Gateway will be held on May 22nd to 24th for grade 11 students looking to see if the student services is the right fit. For these and all other school information, keep connected by listening to the daily announcements in Blog 2, logging onto the school website at mchs.gsacred.ab.ca, or by following the school on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. As well, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by searching MCT Morinville.
Most people are used to the traditional turkey or ham family dinner for Christmas. Eric Melnychuk shows us a tasty alternative to the norm by telling us how to make homemade meatballs and a bunch more to go along with them. Let's take a peek.
Hello and welcome to Eric's Dinner Plans. Now, not only is it the time where the St. Louis Blues are doing the absolute best in the NHL season they have done, but it is also the time for Christmas. So I decided today that I'm going to make a nice meal for my family. Anyway, we're going to be making homemade meatballs, we're going to be making mashed potatoes, we're going to be making some vegetables, all meal for my family. So, the first thing we gotta start with is the meatballs. So, before we start, we gotta add the main ingredients, which is, of course, the actual meat itself. Plop. Next, we got the second pound. And finally, the second one. Plop. Next up, we gotta add a few more of the ingredients, but real quick, make sure you always rewash your hands. Anyway, next up, we're gonna add my personal favorite, the Parmesan. Now, I do have some that I I have some pre-shredded ones that I actually did here, so let's first add all that. Next, we gotta add the second most important ingredient. We gotta add the breadcrumbs. Now, once again, I do have crackers, so let's add these first. I do have cracker crumbs here that I beat with my fists. There we go. Next, we're going to add the barbecue sauce. Go! And then finally, one of the more important parts, you gotta add eggs. A little too hard, but it's fine. And there we go. That's about it for the meatballs. Once again, now all we have to do is mix up everything. I will be removing my jersey for this, so 1 second. There we go. It's a very expensive jersey, so I didn't want to get it all, dirty and stuff. But I also now have gloves on, so let's get on to actually mixing everything. Alright, now that the meat's all mixed, now we gotta set up some pans for it. Now, time for the oven. Alright, you gotta make sure whenever you start, you set it to convection with 400 degrees. As this recommends, you gotta wait for the thing to preheat. Now actually, before we begin, we gotta make the second meal of the day. We've gotta create our instant mashed potatoes. Let's start with that. Also remember when you're cooking that the pot size is the same size as the burner. So first off, let's set it. That's this one right here. Something about there. Next thing we gotta add is we gotta the milk and the powder, and I believe it says to stir it well. The final task for the meatballs is to simply put them in a bin for serving. And that is how you make a delicious Christmas meal for your family. And if I do say so myself, they sure do taste delicious.
Welcome back. Here to give us a look at all the sports highlights from last night is our very own sports expert, Evan Charrois.
Thanks, Skylar. In NHL, only 3 games were played last night. Starting with 2 Canadian teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs were up against the Jets. And even with Austin Matthews' 30th goal of the season with only 12 seconds to tie the match, Winnipeg still won the shootout 4-3. The Philadelphia Flyers upset the top team in the league, the Washington Capitol, by a score of 3-2. And finally, the Dallas Stars were victorious over the LA Kings 2-1. Turning to the NBA, the Toronto Raptors played a close game against the Charlotte Hornets, 112-110. The Heat beat the Pacers 122-108, and the Magic sealed a win against the Wizards 93-89. The Boston Celtics went against the Sacramento Kings and beat them by 34 points, 123-89. The Pelicans took the Bulls 123-108. And finally, the Warriors went up against the Eastern Conference leading Bucks and came up short 98-107. Coming up next in the second installment of Sizzling with the Sisterhood and Liam, producer Anna Lesburg shows Liam Week's culinary prowess as he makes a delightful little soup to cleanse your palate.
Welcome back to Sizzling with the Sisterhood. And me, Liam. Today, we're going to be cooking hummus soup. For this recipe, you're going to need ground cumin, ground coriander, cayenne pepper, butter, onions, lemon, peppers, garlic, chickpeas, chicken bouillon, olive oil, and tahini, which is the paste used to make hummus. You're also going to need bread. For materials, you're going to need a pan, a spoon, knives, and a pot. Firstly, we're going to start by dicing our onions. And next, we're going to be cutting the peppers. That was like a satisfying chop. That was like a good, like, hearty chop. And now we're going to melt in our butter. Now we're going to add our onions, bell pepper, cumin, coriander, salt, and red pepper to the pot. That sounds like cooking. Now we're going to be chopping up 4 cloves of garlic. Now we're going to put in our chickpeas and our garlic. And now we're going to pour in 3 cups of water. Next, you're gonna put in your chicken broth. Once your mixture comes to a boil, you're gonna wanna take your hand blender and blend it until it's smooth. I'm just gonna keep blending it. This is gonna take a while. Next, you're gonna add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And next, you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of tahini paste. And now, we're gonna be cutting our baguette. And now we're gonna put olive oil onto our baguette slices. And now we're gonna put our baguettes in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes.
The soup, you can taste the chickpeas. I know what chickpeas taste like, but I will say, could be blended a little more, but the taste, the actual flavors of it were actually very well done. Like, yeah, I would give this, hold on, we're gonna try with the bread, With the bread, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, watching how to make all these lovely meals. We'll see you guys next time. Bye! Welcome back. Let's take a look at upcoming entertainment events this weekend. New in theaters this weekend will be the highly anticipated film by director Sam Mendes, 1917. Continuing their theatric runs are the films The Grudge, Little Women, Spies in Disguise, Star Wars The Rise of the Skywalker, Jumanji The Next Level, and Frozen 2. At the Musée Heritage Museum in St. Albert, be sure to check out the Enemy Aliens Internment in Canada 1914 to 1920 exhibit during its limited run there until January 19th. Coming up next, it's the most wonderful time of the year, well, for food. We look back a whole decade, okay, maybe only a few weeks ago, but on December 20th, the staff of MCHS took their time to cook a full Christmas dinner for all the students at the school. Aaron Thibault was there and brings us a look at this very special annual tradition.
On December 19, 2019, MCHS hosted its annual Christmas dinner during the afternoon after the celebration, serving the classic Christmas feast of turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, and stuffing with a delicious frosty dessert to high school students and elementary students. The dinner is one of MCHS' most loved celebrations. Perfect timing for the upcoming break and the holiday seasons. It appears that the dinner sparks up a joyous festive mood in all who participate.
I know there's some always questions like, oh, we're not really doing school, so we don't really need to come, but no, you do. It is a day of school, right? And then when that's mentioned, the whole dinner part, the students' eyes like brighten up, right? Like, oh, I'm so there, right? They just enjoy that part of it, and that's the holiday season. It's just, that's part of it. That's what it means. So I do think like there's so much that happens, and there's excitement of it being the last day, the verge of Christmas holidays, and kids are together and not with their classes but all together. It's kind of hard to keep them quiet to hear what's happening on the stage, but I think they do enjoy like what they saw, part of the drama, part of the music program, of course the grade 3s that come over, right, to share that part. A lot of kids have siblings or cousins, they know kids, right, they're waving, they're like, yay, and they remember that experience too when they came over, and it's just I hope it is, you know, it stays. My kid was here this year, my oldest son is in grade 3, so I was maybe a little bit more telling kids to be quiet, more so than not, like, shh, the kids are up there, right? But yeah, no, I think it is something that everybody really enjoys, and it should continue, absolutely.
I do believe that it's very beneficial, and it helps bring people together and bond over things.
Many agree that the Christmas dinner is a valuable moment in the year, a time to take a break and relax, to enjoy the company of friends and enjoy delicious food cooked by staff members who take the time out of their schedule to give something great to the students before we go off to Christmas.
A moment where classmates can bond and the entire school joins together as one big family. This is Erin Thibault from MCTV News reporting in.
Welcome back. Today we have a very special guest joining us in studio. In fact, she was the very first guest interview on the program back in 1995. Here's a quick peek at that interview.
Hi, Ms. Appell. I'd just like to know if you could tell us a little bit about the fashion show first off.
The MCH Fashion Show is a fundraiser event that we put on with our grade 11s. This year I'm coordinating it with Miss Ifcody and Miss Kruger. And usually fashion shows are put on by the grads, but we've decided to use grade 11s instead of grads. Grads tend to be busy at this time of the year, and all the funds go to the school anyways.
So the funds come back to the school then. Okay, why did you choose to get involved in the fashion show?
Well, home ec being my major, I'm very interested in fashion, and it's part of my training, and I just naturally gravitated towards doing the fashion show.
As you may have already seen, that previous clip was with our very own culinary expert, Mrs. Lisa Appell, who after over 25 years of teaching both foods and fashions to a generation of students at MCHS is retiring from teaching at the end of the month. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
So our first question is, why did you choose teaching as a career choice?
So I chose teaching. I probably would say the greatest influence was my grandmother. I grew up on a farm about an hour outside of Grand Prairie, and my grandma lived in Grand Prairie, and so when I went there, it was usually for a weekend, and she was a cook and a baker, and she also loved sewing and quilting. And so whenever I went there as a young child, she would involve me. So I would get to, be in the kitchen with her. And so she let me do everything that she was doing.
That's super cool. It's funny because my grandma did the exact same thing.
Oh,
She's the one
great.
who got me into cooking. So we'll go to our second question. Is what classes have you taught over the years, and which one is your favorite?
Okay, so I took my training at U of A, and my major was home ec, my minor was biology. And so over the past years at the schools I've taught the home ec at the junior high, high school food studies, high school fashion studies. I taught food prep here at MCHS when we first opened. And with my minor, I've taught Science 14, Science 24. Oh, and I taught comm as well.
Exciting. So obviously you'll be finishing your career here at MCHS later this month. But when and where did you start teaching, and where were your first years as an educator like?
I taught in a small community, probably most people don't even know it. It's Hughenden, Alberta. It's southeast of here. And I was hired as a home ec teacher. I didn't teach any science there. That was in 1987, 88. And the first years of teaching, well, you come out of university with all this head knowledge, but the only way you can actually, get proficient at your career is by doing, and so it's a lot of long hours. Nobody gives you, anything. You develop everything on your own from the theory you've been taught, and so good thing it was a small town because I had zero social life, 0 hours for about the first 3 years.
Wow. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Good to see you still made it through that.
Gets easier.
Oh, I bet. So you moved to Morinville Community High School when it first opened its door in 1994. What was it like to enter a brand new building, and what were the early years at MCHS like?
The school, when it opened, was state of the art. So we had all the latest technology, and it was bright and shiny and exciting, and it was. We had to write an essay to be part of the staff, in addition to our application, and so we were kind of, I guess, handpicked by the principal, and it was a little daunting at times because tours would be going through from people, even other provinces would come to the school and tour, and just to see what we were doing and maybe plan their school similar to what we were doing. So, but it was exciting.
Wow.
An exciting time.
That does sound exciting. Not everything a teacher does is in the classroom. As we saw in the clip before your interview, you organized a grad fashion show in the past. What other extracurricular activities have you been a part of in the past?
Well, when I first started teaching and was right out of high school and university, I played a lot of basketball, so I coached basketball for maybe my first 4 years of school. And then the fashion show, as you saw. I've been on the bike trip a couple times, which was great. I've been involved in the drama a lot for numerous years, doing costumes and that sort of thing. This year I was involved in the Cappy's room, doing some of the food with Mr. Swerda. I've done the skills, the culinary challenge in Edmonton. For several different years. Let me see. What else? Coffee house at the school. And I've been involved in grad on numerous years for that as well.
Cool. So how has education changed since you first started your teaching career?
When I first started, my program was much more teacher directed. So more like your traditional class where all the students would be sitting and, you'd teach them a concept and then they would, maybe the next class you would do a lab in that. Now I would say it's much more student oriented and directed. You have a lot more going on. Some, might be doing a lab, some might be in the classroom, some might be working on a computer. So more technical and just more the student or the teacher as a facilitator, helping the students, and a lot of hands-on, a lot of demonstration. Yeah,
that's super cool to hear, like how it's changed. So now, with all your years of experience, I'm sure you have many stories to tell. But is there one or two that's like on your mind and being the most memorable?
Lots, like I said, but. I can remember one incident, like on our bike trip that I was on. We had a beautiful weekend for our bike trip. A lot of times the bike trip is snowed out and they're riding like it's an endurance test. This was hot, so we were like dying. So we took this little side road and it led us to these cliffs, and we actually went cliff jumping into the water, into the mountain lakes. And now we just did that on a whim, on a spur of the moment. Kids didn't have form sign. You could never ever do that anymore, but it definitely was a highlight. Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, and obviously the very first coffee house was really incredible because the talent in this school is phenomenal. And we didn't have it at MCC, we had it right in the gym, and it was really quite an intimate environment. We had candles when you could actually use candles. And it was just a beautiful night. So that was very memorable too.
That's so cool. So for our last question is, now that your teaching career is almost behind you, what are your plans for the future?
Well, immediate future, I'm going on a trip in February. It's going to be a 2.5-month trip actually, to South Asia, Australia, Fiji, just around that area. And in February, because I've never been able to do a trip in February. I mean, I've been in school, really, if you look at it, since I was 5 years old. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing that. And then my husband and I, we have a home in Ontario. We're renovating that right now, moving there. And then just, I like to be active. I like to do a lot of outdoors things. And I also really look forward to learning, continuing learning. Maybe doing online courses or auditing courses at a college, something totally different.
That sounds like lots of fun. Anyways, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you very much.
So up next, our very own Anna Lesburg brings a culinary special home with a segment on how to bake the perfect French macaroons. We'll be back in a few minutes to wrap things up. And that's it for another episode of MCTV News. Make sure to keep an eye out for next week's season finale. Be sure to join us when we'll bring you the MCHS drama program's production of A Christmas Story, as well as part 3 and 4 to Sizzling with the Sisterhood in Liam. We'll get a look at the annual student-teacher hockey game and the series finale of Morinville's favorite game show, Categories. All this, plus sports, your 7-day weather forecast, and a bunch of bloopers on our 26th annual season finale on Thursday, January 16th. So, how was your Christmas break?
It was really good. I got to spend time with a lot of family I normally don't get to see, but except for like at Christmas or Easter or Thanksgiving, but that's about it. How about you?
That's pretty fun. I went and saw both sides of the family, so got to see everybody, which was really awesome.
I wish.
From all of us at MCTV News, I'm Skylar Boissonnault.
And I'm Dowhan. Thanks for tuning in.